My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity, theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. This is P.O.C. This is the John Stewart Apartments, Company Apartments at the Senior Citizen Apartment Complex. It's 12:05 in the morning. This is the Ontario Senior Center. It's 12:05 in the morning. This is the Ontario City Hall. It is 12:05 in the morning, and that was hovering. Remember, I am northwest, over 4 miles away from the Ontario International Airport, and there is no scheduled flights from the airport right now, nor are there any flights that would result in a plane hovering like you just saw, creating that level of audible activity, and doing so, flying miles away from the airport to be hovering over me. This is where also the Ontario International Airport, the airline industry is targeting me, where the fake sun rises and sets in Ontario, California, as I've shown in every city that I travel to as well. This is, like I stated, it's 12:06 a.m. This is the P.O.C, and this is what the entity has been doing since I returned from Upland, California, and the entity is doing so with the people of the state. The entity also doing so by helicopter. This is the military, the U.S. military, and my evidence shows that up to date, it's July 21st, 2026, the entity has not ceased to engage in what is the pattern of conduct, the criminal pattern of conduct, and that is the people of the state. And this is going to be reflected in the damages with regard to the recovery of an American citizen against whom the United States government, the people of the state, have levied war against an American citizen. It's also reflecting in sentencing and in charges regarding prosecuting the U.S. government, the people of the state, domestic terrorists engaging in gang stalking. It's currently 12:07 a.m. This is P.O.C. Stalking and mental illness, a problem of the U.S. government. This is P.O.C. And the ongoing stalking by the government is underway by the people of the state as well. There's a reason why they're hovering over a senior citizen complex at 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, where there are no scheduled flights right now, and that is not a flight headed to a destination. There's no passengers on that plane. It's not going anywhere. That plane was used to engage in what is harassing me, stalking me, and going nowhere, just flying in a circle to be where I'm at the Ontario Senior Center, stalking at the Ontario City Hall, the Ovid Family Community Library, John Stewart Apartments, where the people of the state are being federally prosecuted for gang stalking. This is what this is. In the specific environment at 5:20 a.m. This is the entity that's in pattern of conduct together as one. The people of the state are gang stalking right now. They're sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring, and this is federal stalking via communication devices. The people of the state remain in relevant position, including by living in relevant position on the roads and the highways. And the entity has creeping stalkers on foot, engaging in inconspicuous stalking, meaning they're hiding, sitting over here in the dark, hiding behind around the corner, engaging in the pattern of conduct as you've seen them. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 5:21 a.m. Ongoing psychopathic pacing. It's very early in the morning where the elderly are gang stalking. They're not sleeping while the government is flying over the apartment complex, flying next to the apartment complex, doing U-turns in the parking lot of that apartment complex, of the city hall, of the senior center. They're stalking together. The U.S. military, as I've shown you, are engaging in the pattern of conduct in concert with the people of the state, flying over the Metro 102 apartments, Ontario Town Square townhomes. This is the P.O.C. The Ontario Fire Department is gang stalking. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged in that. It's 5:53 a.m. This is psychopathic pacing. And the entity is engaged in this over and over and over again while the demons are obsessively stalking the person that's going to prosecute and is going to recover damages for this ongoing obsessive and futile endeavor. This is getting to mental illness. This is the entity that's going to be committed for their ongoing obsessive stalking conduct using commercial planes. A level of expenditures that the entity has engaged in. This is prosecuting the mayor, the city of Ontario, and the people of the state. Just flying circles over me, okay? And the Ontario International Airport is directly engaged in what the military using commercial planes to commit criminal activity. P.O.C. Psychopathic pacing. Southwest Airlines in particular. The entire airline industry, though. This is not headed to a destination. This is P.O.C. 5:54 a.m. John Stewart Apartments. The John Stewart Company, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall with the people of the state. And this is exactly what's going on at 12 in the morning. Demons together. And this is the entity that's going to compensate for it. This is what they're doing at 12 o'clock in the morning. It's not different. It's not different at all. When I'm capturing video at 3 in the morning, it's not different. They're engaged together. The military stalking with the people of the state, both while they're inside of the venue, gang stalking, and they're outside where you can conspicuously see them walking their dog, gang stalking, riding their bike, systematically gang stalking. This one likes to hold up his middle finger. That one's still on video. You're going to be federally prosecuted for it. P.O.C. on highways, stalking. All right, not traffic surveillance. And there are no flights from the airport over the Ontario Senior Center. They are gang stalking as an entity, and they feel more comfortable doing it at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's equally unlawful and equally gang stalking, okay? Equally demonic. It is currently 5:55 a.m. This is P.O.C. in the specific environment where it's also equally demonic, where the fake sun is rising and setting. These are demons. And demons are a threat when they're driving on the roads and the highways. Demons are a threat where they are living in the neighborhoods where they're keeping American citizens under surveillance. Demons are a threat while they are engaging in what is a system exposing public. All right, that's the P.O.C. This is conspicuous surveillance, the mentally ill that are engaging in the pattern of conduct as they are present, conveniently gang stalking with the military. And this is the ease with which you're also prosecuting. Southwest Airlines, that's the people of the state, the corporate entity, 5:55 a.m. Psychopathic pacing. This is the same military, engaging in the same criminal system, stalking in the same specific environment over the City Hall, Ontario Senior Center, the John Stewart Company, and you are being prosecuted as the people of the state. While your planes are used to gang stalk me, while the establishments themselves are in relevant position and the people are engaging in the pattern of conduct inside and outside, while the establishments and your plane and the use of the roads and the highways are all means of relevant positioning with the military that's gang stalking, you're being federally prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. This is psychopathic pacing while the entity is maintaining just gang stalking amongst the entity at 5:57 a.m. The demons that are monitoring. That's not traffic. That's a demon who's stalking on the roads and the highways, and it's amplified in volume. John Stewart Apartment Complex, MIG Real Estate, GL Partners, Saris Regis Group. They're all being federally prosecuted while you are witnessing the criminal activity that you are engaged in, and you're profiting from gang stalking, which is inclusive of the apartment complexes, the people of the state residing there, and the city of Ontario that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, the government that's gang stalking through these commercial means of the pattern of conduct. That's not even audible activity that's naturally occurring. Nonetheless, it's audible activity, but it's not even naturally occurring audible activity. Those are demons that are stalking, monitoring me, targeted. Everything that's occurring in this environment is speaking to targeted conduct, and you are being federally prosecuted. Okay? Reliable Properties is down the street on Euclid Avenue and G Street, and they are gang stalking. I'm merely prosecuting and letting you know, Reliable Properties, how you have been documented for years, and you shall compensate, and you will be that property, that venue is being criminally charged. While you're seeing the same exact pattern of conduct while I'm there and you're looking at it. The entire city is gang stalking, including when I'm showing you how that particular venue is engaged in the pattern of conduct, which the people of the state are engaging in uniformly. Uniformly. P.O.C. is currently 5:58 a.m. P.O.C. Psychopathic pacing. This is the entity stalking again in another Southwest Airlines plane at 6 a.m. Okay, this is Robert that you saw walking in moments ago, monitoring. This is the Ovid Family Community Library, the Ontario Convention Center, which is the same city of Ontario. That is gang stalking. By virtue of employment at a venue, you are criminally engaging in what is a matter of public corruption, where a population is engaging in the pattern of conduct. Where you are living or occupies, this is what the entity is engaging in, monitoring while you are present, both conspicuously and inconspicuously. The pattern of conduct, and the entity is maintaining the pattern of conduct while the corporate entity Southwest Airlines is a means of crossing path, just like this is a means of crossing path, stalking. All right, maintaining presence while they are monitoring, and this is an obsessive endeavor where they engage in this specific environment, which I've shown you, which is speaking to the mentally ill obsession, where they're all obsessive while you can see the evidence of what is the fake sun, and at night the fake moon, and the hallmark stalking me by helicopters, and that which is also what you're looking at, the entity stalking by planes. They are engaging in it while they're showing you the face. The people of the state, the demon-possessed, cannot engage in gang stalking in any secretive manner. And it is fully underway while they are engaging in what is this means any and all means of presence, including, oh, I live here and I work here, and you're gang stalking there as well. You maintain an establishment, you are gang stalking with the military, with the government. That's providing direct, clear, unambiguous evidence. This is the P.O.C. That's the entity stalking, 6:01 a.m. None of these are planes taking off from the airport to a destination with passengers on them. This is P.O.C. This is the entity stalking. It is 6:04 a.m. with the people of the state. Alrighty, this is the entity hovering over the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center, and the John Stewart Company Apartments in concert with the people who are crossing paths. Alright, remember the University of Luverne College of Law, the Ontario Fire Department, downtown Ontario apartment complex. They're stalking in the parking garage over here. They're pacing on the roads and the highways, Euclid Avenue and C Street. It's not traffic, it's surveillance, while the military using commercial planes are flying miles away from the airport to hover over here by me, stalking a particular person, an individual, an American citizen, the targeted individual. This is the entity that is levying war, and you are accumulating damages to recover while you document this level of evidence. And it's damages against the people of the state, John Stewart Company, MIG Real Estate, GL Partners, College of Luverne University of Law, the City of Ontario, that's the Senior Center, that's the City Hall, that's the Ontario Town Square. The entity that's gang stalking through the people of the state, working where the government's engaged in surveillance. This is the P.O.C. That's Secure Documented Gang Stalking. This is, want to be clear, 6:05 a.m., July 21st, 2022. Excuse me, 2026. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity maintaining psychopathic pacing, and this is stalking while the entity follows me. As I show you when I go to Stater Brothers, the entity's engaged in the same pattern of conduct, following in the environment and with the same conduct. No planes taken off over Stater Brothers either. Stater Brothers that committed kidnapping on Monday, July 13, 2026. They're all going to federal prison. P.O.C. This is the entity that committed kidnapping, and this is why you are being federally prosecuted. There are no passengers on that plane. This is the entity that is mentally ill, that is going to be committed, that shall be subject to martial law while they are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. Miles away, the takeoff is completed over the sky space of the airport. They're stalking over here together. And that is the evidence of the fake sun is what is underscoring this. This is when you're seeing the entity keeping the fake sun over me, moving as I move. This entire crime scene, inclusive of planes and helicopters, follows me as I go. These are demons that are monitoring, and they are spending millions and billions of dollars on monitoring, and they're going to be spending millions and billions of dollars in damages. This is the documentation of government levying war in concert with the population who are making up the public entity. They're not private citizens, and this is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:07 a.m. The entity is engaged with the Ontario City Hall, where there are no planes taken off. There's no airport east of the Ontario Civic Center. The airport itself is not east of the Ontario Civic Center. The entity is flying miles over here, and then these demons are flying west in alignment to me. And this is relevant to what is the entity's pattern of conduct, as I'm documenting this in every city and in every other county, while the airports are engaged in the pattern of conduct in California. And the evidence shows this underway in Nevada as well. There's a body of evidence. He is gang stalking me right now at the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library. It's currently 6:07 a.m. This is evidence of mental illness, not just the criminal pattern of conduct. They're mentally ill, which is a crime. It's a crime. The U.S. government that's psychopathic, that's stalking you, it's criminal. It's an unlawful threat to an American citizen that you are so psychotic and you're engaging in targeting someone while you are that sick, because that's an unlawful threat psychologically, physically, to your well-being and to your right to not be subject to it in the first place. P.O.C. It is currently 6:08 a.m. Alrighty, another flight not scheduled for takeoff from the airport, not coming from the terminals, not coming from Terminal 2, Terminal 4. That's UPS, which is hovering over the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Senior Center, that's going to be defunded and federally prosecuted, the City of Ontario, and the John Stewart Company that is being federally prosecuted gang stalking with the military that is utilizing commercial planes to engage in criminal stalking. That's stalking as an entity. It is federal group stalking and monitoring, i.e. gang stalking, which is pursuant to federal stalking under Title 18, Section 2261A. with sections 1 and 2. They're doing that while the entity is maintaining that over the Wells Fargo as well. All of these venues are being simultaneously documented. Over the Ontario Town Square, where they're gang stalking, they're on the grounds of the venue, just like you saw Securitas crossing path. Securitas is gang stalking with their communication device while the military is maintaining plane after plane. And all of these venues are being simultaneously documented for a prosecution. And I've also documented all these venues gang stalking while the fake sun is rising and setting at all of the aforesaid venues. This is the entity engaged in that, and there is no scheduled flight from the airport that's hovering over Wells Fargo, the Town Square, the John Stewart Company, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, the Ontario Fire Department, or next to the College of Laverne University of Law, or next to the demons that are gang stalking by working inside of the Page 1 Cafe. Okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:12 a.m. P.O.C. Southwest Airlines. When you see Southwest Airlines stalking me when I'm in Upland, California, this is also identifying the entity by a specific name. But even if you don't know the name of the stalker, the entity is stalking while the entity is maintaining any means of criminal presence in the path, which is established through the fake sun, the engineer light, king by helicopter, the monitoring by the people of the state. It's merely very obvious because Southwest Airlines maintains no flights from Terminal 4, hovering over the Ontario Senior Center, the John Stewart Company apartment complex. I'm doing so on a frequent basis as I'm documenting and hovering over the University of Laverne College of Law, the parking garage, the Ontario Fire Department. This is the engaging in merely the demons who are mentally ill that are being discharged that are also stalking me by helicopter. This is mentally ill behavior. This is remaining beyond stalking. They're flying plane after plane after plane after plane after plane. This is analogous to the flying in circles by helicopter. They're mentally ill. They're obsessing over me while they are monitoring, which is exceeding stalking. And the people of the state are sharing in that documented exposure of their mental illness while the entity is flying over the apartment building where you are present, occupying presence, which is criminal, or residing. However, they're engaging in the system of public corruption, gang stalking. They are equally engaging in the psychopathic behavioral pattern. It's not merely the demons that are flying in the planes. They're sharing in the pattern of conduct. These are demons that are pacing all together, including while they are staying in the building, for example, John Stewart Company. These are demons that are pacing as one. P.O.C. This is the pattern of conduct. This is the documentation of demons who are non-humans. They are engaging in this obsession over me because they are indeed mentally ill, and it is shown while they are stalking in this manner. They're already stalking where I'm at to engage in the flight with planes after planes where no planes are coming from the airport, none of them. This is the entity stalking. So are sharing in that mentally ill behavioral pattern. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct. This is by the way, this is what's happening while I'm inside of the Upland Public Library all day long, under the fake sun. All right, this is 6:14 a.m. Psychopathic pacing. This is the same U.S. military that is engaging in the pattern of conduct. They are engaging in surveilling an American citizen that is documenting all of its mental illness while it's engaged in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder, and have engaged in criminally defaming my character in doing so while you're looking at the fact that they consume feces, all right, that they are engaging in what is abnormal criminal activity, not just criminal, but abnormal criminal activity. These are demons that are engaging in this level of expensive, time-consuming means of surveilling me for no legitimate purpose, flying in a smaller plane. That's the same homosexual cult, the military that are stalking with the city of Ontario that's fully aware of it, and the city of Ontario that's fully engaging in it. And that's the entire state of California. That's why the military is welcomed by the city of Upland that's gang stalking me as well. And this is the prosecution of the state of California. Their mental illness is underway, is exposed to you, which is relevant for martial law, and what is the involuntary commitments of gang stalkers, which is how prosecuting gang stalking shall be executed in the U.S. This is how you're going to prosecute domestic terrorism. And the entity is engaging in this while they are you're looking at what is second by second, the frequency of planes, while the entity is stalking me, and I'm not even going anywhere. So this is beyond stalking. Okay? When you're stalking me, you're hiding behind the bush over there. I'm not going anywhere. So why do you keep coming from behind the bush and running back and forth in and out of the building right here in front of me when you're stalking me? That's exceeding stalking, and that's also psychopathic. Okay, you're already a weirdo stalking, and now you're pacing in and out of the building in front of me while you're stalking. That's what the entity is doing. That's and giving you an illustration of what they're doing. They're monitoring. The mentally ill are monitoring. The non-humans are monitoring. and they make up the cult that is the military that's being discharged, and they're being committed, and so are the people of the state. Those are just cult members that are not officially a part of the military, but they are the same mentally ill, non-human cult, gang stalking, the demon possessed, and they're being prosecuted, and they're going to be prosecuted by martial law as well. This is P.O.C. at 6:17 a.m. All right, the entity, I just want to be clear, this is letting you know about their obsession, their sexual obsession with me, their sexual obsession with my vagina, going into the bathrooms, which is the people of the state's role, stalking me in places like the bathroom, where the government has no warrant or probable cause to be in the bathroom, which is the people of the state's role, who are engaged in gang stalking. They are not private citizens, and they are engaging in surveillance in this obsessive manner while they follow me into the restroom. This gang stalking that you're seeing by plane is illustrative of the gang stalking that's underway by the people of the state, who are the same entity inside of these buildings where they're monitoring in bathrooms. Okay? And the government has equally unlawful presence in the bathroom where you're gang stalking as a matter of public corruption. The demons are going in to monitor vagina inside of the Ontario Ovid Family Community Library, inside of the Upland Public Library, inside of the Stater Brothers grocery store, where they're engaging in kidnapping and all of those aforesaid venues as well, by the way. And everybody that works at those venues, everybody that I documented serially stalking at those venues, they're all going to prison. While you're looking at them exhibit severe mental instability, the inability to sit still, in other words, while they're stalking me already. You already know where I'm at. What are you doing? So you're merely witnessing the fact that they're psychotic. Don't forget this, because these are sex offenders that are monitoring my vagina. Turning on the sprinklers in the morning outside of their schedule. They turn on the sprinklers at night. They turn on the sprinklers when the City of Ontario employees who are gang stalking with the municipality want to stalk in the path while the fake sun is rising. They turn on the sprinklers at any other random time in order to create activity around me. That's the P.O.C. It is currently 6:19 a.m. This is the pattern of conduct. Let me show you something that's not scheduled by the Ontario Airport, which is the entity that is stalking by commercial planes, as I've been capturing. Not only is it not scheduled, this is not a takeoff from any of the terminals. It's not a takeoff. And that's a matter of what is a judicially noticed fact. They're hovering over the senior citizen apartment complex, which is over 4 miles northwest away from the Ontario International Airport, and this is the entity that is stalking in the path Securitas, which is gang stalking, and they are engaged. That's a corporate entity as I'm documenting them, and it's also Wells Fargo, it's the John Stewart Company, the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, the University of Laverne College of Law, the Ontario Fire Department, the Ontario Town Square Townhomes, the Downtown Ontario Apartments, the Ovid Family Community Library, the Metro 102 Apartments. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and I'm just speaking to the immediate environment, all of whom are in relevant positioning. That's how you're accumulating why I'm naming who I'm naming, because the entire state of California is gang stalking. But who has to maintain presence around me while the government shows that it's mentally ill, that it's engaging in a conspiracy to murder, criminally defame the one that they're gang stalking because they engage in psychopathic behavior, and while you allege it without having evidence, that's supposed to criminally defame you, which is absolutely absurd conduct, because never is anyone else's criminal activity going to reflect poorly on you, but it does when the government is corrupt, and it is engaging what is controlling the execution of what are acts of criminal activity. In the gang stalking courtrooms where they're not practicing law and they're not practicing medicine, this is not going to ever establish the mental illness of anyone subject to it. It shows the mental illness of those engaging in it, and the entity that's engaging in that is doing so. This is United Airlines that is sharing in the pattern of conduct that I've been documenting. And there's no scheduled flights right now. While you hear that level of activity competing with my voice, hovering over a senior citizen complex, as I just captured an 18-minute video showing you the same thing, because I don't need to capture 18 separate videos. I can just I'll just show you what they're doing over the Ontario City Hall, and Paul Leon's being federally prosecuted for what I'm documenting occurring for 18 minutes straight over that venue, the Ontario City Hall, where no planes and no helicopters are engaging in what is any sort of legitimate flights, and that is an obvious engagement in what would be something brought to the attention of the mayor, were that mayor not engaged in the criminal pattern of conduct targeting that American citizen, which is also shared with the evidence of that mayor, that city council, that government facilitating venue where the fake sun is also over that venue. This is the criminal engagement in that pattern of conduct, and there are no United Airlines flights scheduled right now, by the way, where the airport is miles away from the location where I'm at. Terminal 2, as you can see, at 2500 East Airport Drive. Terminal 4 at 2900 East Airport Drive, where the entity is maintaining flights right here at what is the Ontario Civic Center, the Ovitt Family Community Library at 215 East C Street. At the Ontario Senior Center, the Ontario City Hall, 303 East B Street. The entity is flying over 4 miles to hover in the northwest direction to then hover over these venues where you're not engaging in any takeoffs, and there aren't even any scheduled flights right now. And I just captured video for 18 minutes of the entity engaging in flight after flight after flight, hovering. Amplified volume, which is a matter of what is a judicially noticed fact that you're not taking off from the airport while you're hovering in commercial planes that are assigned to terminals at that airport that engage in business with the city of Ontario from that airport. And I'm documenting targeting and harassment here. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and they follow me throughout the city of Ontario because there are also no planes taken off over the Emporia Place apartment complex at Holt and Vine Avenue. There are no planes taken off over the Ontario Village Shopping Center, the Stater Brothers entrance, where Southwest Airlines, Delta Airlines, the same airlines are engaging in that P.O.C. This is where the people of the state Alrighty, what you'll see in the images as I capture that screen recording is Securitas, which is creating particularized light as they are on the golf cart, as they are coming from, you see Robert coming from the back gate, you see the other employee entering the entrance, you'll see the military and the small plane. This is pacing. And they're doing that while they are monitoring together, while the entity is engaging in what is flight over the Ontario Civic Center, and the people of the state are sharing in the criminal elements of monitoring. They're merely doing so conspicuously. And I want to be clear, this entity is doing so 24 hours a day. The military that's stalking in commercial planes, which have no scheduled flights either at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning from the Ontario International Airport, are doing so while the people of the state are gang stalking as well, 24 hours a day. All right, this is the entity that's engaged in that. The entity that is stalking in planes and helicopters is not doing so in the absence of the people of the state, even while they don't want to be seen doing so. But this is the thing, it's not normal to do it, and it's not looking normal when they're doing it at 6 o'clock in the morning, nor is it at 2:30 in the morning. But this is their mindset. But this is the entity that's engaging in that. But I've captured them doing so, walking by with their dog at 2 in the morning as well. But this is that mindset. This is why you're not looking at a gang of them crossing path, because in their mind, where they are delusional, where there's nothing normal happening other than surveillance, which you all know under the fake sun, or where the fake sun is documented at any point in history, where you are gang stalking. Okay, you're not working, you're stalking in that environment. Where the military is stalking by commercial planes, you're gang stalking, and it is pointing directly to them while they are forced to do it in front of all of you. And while they're forced to do it in front of all of you, they are going to be committed for the mentally ill conduct of gang stalking. And this is the people of the state that do so as a means of maintaining corporations that are sharing in surveillance, not legitimate business like Securitas, like all of these property management companies that are gang stalking, both by the residents, by their employees, and by the people of the state who are maintaining all manner of presence, including by stalking in the sky space above and around these venues. That's public corruption. In Ontario Convention Center, which is what is Page One Cafe, that's the City of Ontario. That's another means of identifying City of Ontario. And Securitas and City of Ontario are pacing in relevant position. Robert's a demon. That's why he's going out of the back entrance of the Page One Cafe and coming out of the gate. You'll see in the pictures that I'm taking, they're pacing. They're walking in the engineer light, where, in other words, they're in multiple shadows, and the demons are stalking with plane activity in the sky space. And that's immediately following the video that I just captured, showing you that there are no flights coming from the airport, and the entity's using both commercial planes and they're using the smaller planes. It's the same cults, members of the military, that are stalking using aerial surveillance. Just like I'm showing you in Upland, California, where the cult members of the military utilize what are ceremonies to engage in what is worshiping me, gang stalking me under the fake sun at the Upland Public Library, where you're looking at them engaging in what is gang stalking those cult members that are flying in multiple jets over the Upland City Hall. And the entities engaging in that while they are maintaining what is the pattern of conduct, which is what you're witnessing here. That's the mentally ill, the demon possessed, who behave like roaches. All right, and they're engaging in pacing conduct. They're all pacing all around me, and they are doing so while they live in the apartment complex, while they're gang stalking on the roads and the highways, while they're gang stalking and maintaining pedestrian traffic. Roaches are not pedestrians. Roaches are gang stalking. That's what they're doing, and they're doing so in the sky space. What they're doing in the sky space is directly indicative and incriminating, and you will be prosecuted while you are in the path in any means. Any business, any facilitating venue, in other words, is in the path while the government is stalking. And they're all engaging in that which is in the path while the fake sun documentation is already here. In other words, Southwest Airlines and every other airline, the entire airline industry is prosecuted with regard to surveillance. And that's a judicially noticed fact that is serving for the entirety of the prosecution. This is P.O.C. at 6:32 a.m. 6:34 a.m. And that is Southwest Airlines again, stalking. By virtue of your listening to plane activity, that is relevant to the judicially noticed fact that the entity is maintaining both light activity, Securitas, taking a picture of that. Securitas is now using what is the business to engage in criminal monitoring, and they've been doing so at the Ontario Town Square. Securitas is at the Ontario Civic Center engaging in criminal monitoring with the military. Light activity, criminal presence in the path inside of the Page One Cafe, doing so as a paid employee of a gang stalking company. That's a gang stalking employee who's already going to prison. You're not in any distinct position while you are gang stalking as a random a gang stalker that's sleeping outside in the dumpsters, or a random gang stalker that's employed at the venue where the pattern of conduct is underway. They're both going to prison. Gang stalking in any systematic manner, gang stalking with the government in concert with the gang stalking police. However, there are ways in which they're engaging in this. Securitas employees are going to prison for systematic facilitation, for criminal summoning, for what is targeting with impunity. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 6:35 a.m. The minions are monitoring. The entity is monitoring while the entity is crossing path, which is what you hear in the background. The light activity, the crossing path, getting on the golf cart, while they're aiding in what is criminal monitoring. Remember, criminal monitoring, the reason why you're going to prison is because you're actively engaging in criminal activity, which is in furtherance of murder of an American citizen against whom you are levying war. And you're doing so while you are a company employing terrorists. That's not going to be missed either when you're prosecuted. And companies like Southwest Airlines and Securitas are the companies that are also subject to being removed from existence altogether because of terrorism that they are engaged in and facilitating. They're hiring terrorists, let alone those that are hiring immigrants that are then in this country engaging in terrorism. All of this is to be dealt with when you're being prosecuted and you are looking at the evidence, which is also going to remove these companies from existence. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:36 a.m. The entity is monitoring what I'm doing on my device, which is uploading all of the damning evidence that I just captured, again, on another day. Exhibit A, 6:36 a.m. Remember, what you hear in the environment is directly impacting your communication device. That's Securitas with light activity, now creating audible activity. Okay, that's the entity that is monitoring on my device, which Securitas also is being federally prosecuted for violating my privacy and keeping my device under surveillance while stalking me conspicuously with the government in a malicious manner, such as by gang stalking, and doing so in furtherance of murdering me. Doing so under the malicious name of Securitas as opposed to the United States Air Force. And that's the United States Air Force hiding behind a corporate entity, and they're both being prosecuted. Okay, it is 6:37 a.m. That's federal stalking. It's surveillance on my device. Pay attention. You can hear the audible noise of Union Pacific. You will see the image of a stalker crossing path on foot, communication device in tow. All of this is pursuant to monitoring, so that's what you're listening to. It's 6:38 a.m. (6:41 a.m.) Remember what I am sharing about what's actually taken out from the airport as far as what the Ontario International Airport is publishing. And And none of that is going to occur here, but this is all relevant evidence prosecuting the military, prosecuting the U.S. government, prosecuting the people of the state, which includes the corporate entities that are providing commercial airline planes to the government in order to act in furtherance of my murder in the specific environment where the people of the state are gang stalking, which is a matter of public corruption, showing you how that corrupt system of surveillance is operating amongst a society. 6:42 a.m. And that was Delta Airlines, by the way. 6:44 a.m. 6:45 a.m. now. Maintaining presence in the path, stalking. Having a dog on a leash is stalking. Being in the vehicle in the parking lot is stalking. Walking on the sidewalk in relevant position is stalking. Flying in relevant position over my head in the specific environment is stalking. Doing so by commercial plane, doing so by helicopter like I'm documenting on a daily basis, it's stalking. Flying directly over the top of my head, which is what you'll see right now in images as I'm capturing, flying diagonally. This is the same cult members that have been engaging with a serial flight west over the City Hall, the Senior Center, the John Stewart apartment complex. And while I'm in the presence of these venues, which is in the presence of this population, and the military is targeting me by flying over my head, they are all equally engaging in that same criminal pattern of conduct, and they are all stalking, including the Securitas employees, including the employees of the Page One Cafe, including the City of Ontario, the fire department. Okay, this is the P.O.C. The entity just flew over the top of my head, and you'll see light activity by the stalkers, Securitas, and the Securitas employees. It is currently 6:46 a.m. That is the P.O.C. The entity is particularly malicious while they focus on petting a dog and giving their dog affection, picking up their dog's droppings, while the military flies over the top of my head, gang stalking me. Okay? And you are gang stalking me as well. This is an entity that's engaged in that concerted conduct together. And that's what you'll see me taking a picture of the people of the state. That's not an individual, that's the entity walking the black dog, giving the black dog affection right in the path, gang stalking, a demon that's obsessing. Their obsession is going to be shown while they're holding a leaf blower. Their obsession is going to be shown while they're mowing the grass. Their obsession is going to be shown while they are driving the city vehicles. Their obsession is going to be shown while they're driving the dumpster trucks, emptying the trash all around me, stalking in the path. Their obsession is shown while they're all under a fake sun. Their obsession is shown while they're at the stoplights, while they're stalking inventory in the grocery store, stalking me, while they're following me around in the city, which is proven with commercial planes that are not even going to be in that sky space, let alone at that elevation, at that noise level, where the airport is maintaining any legitimate flights to a destination with passengers on them. That's how the demon possessed are showing their obsession, because they are humiliated by virtue of proof that they are all together stalking one person. Because why would you do that? So this is why they have the malicious system of gang stalking. And they are the non-humans who are engaging in what is a psychopathic conduct, targeting one person together who is not a stranger to them. Neither is their genitalia. Neither is their obsession. Their inexplicable obsession is because they are in fact demons. And that's also what they are humiliated about. The fact that you know both, that they are engaged in gang stalking, that it is a government system, moreover, and that they're violent sex offenders obsessed with the one whom they are in fact stalking, which is not detracted from while you keep your back toward the person that you are still stalking while you're in the path, because you know what gang stalking looks like. And it's even more psychotic than being an upfront stalker, hiding in a bush. You walk backwards toward me, or you hold a box and get out of a commercial vehicle, or you follow around in a helicopter. You're more psychotic than somebody that can't get over their ex-girlfriend and stalks them for a couple weeks, but eventually gets over it and moves on with their life. You haven't even kissed me before. You don't even know how I am in a personal relationship, but for stalking me and monitoring me and obsessing over me and violating my privacy and putting cameras on me and putting it on the internet so all the rest of the demons are able to watch me and obsess and masturbate and have sex with each other while they obsess over me. That's even more psychopathic and deranged and obsessive, and that which is a threat to your life. They conspire your murder while they gang stalk you. And they are creatures that make up the cult that is the U.S. government. That just flew over the top of my head while you're petting your dog. You're a gang stalker, and you're a demon, you're a psychopath, you are a co-conspirator. This is an entity that is very much delusional. You can dress up the monster however you want. When you strip off that mask, it's the same monster, and you're going to be committed. There is no escaping it. There is no way to dress it up. There is nothing other than what is the unequivocal, unambiguous targeting conduct. And there's no smiley face or anything that you're putting on it. You're not dressing it up and putting a glitter and paint on it. It's the pattern of conduct, the plain elements of monitoring. And by the way, as a matter of common sense, when I'm at the venue and the entity is engaging in the absurdity of stalking in a helicopter all night long, and you think that it's something different, and that, you're just strolling by, and that you're some sort of distinct person separate from that extraordinary conduct, you're delusional. And that's why you're gang stalking in the first place, because you're very far away from anything sane. You're entirely insane. And that's what's gang stalking. Okay, and it's also driving an Ontario Police Department vehicles. Exhibit A, gang stalking at what is C Street and Euclid Avenue. Stalking path with Securitas. They are monitoring together, doing so at the traffic lights, which is how the entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct in a white van that they call themselves protecting each other. They're not protecting each other, they're exposing each other. The white van pulls behind the Ontario police, who you already know are gang stalking. They're getting embarrassed on a daily basis, and they committed kidnapping. Rodriguez, while you see this plane activity, Rodriguez committed kidnapping with Hadel Shiapani. This is exactly what they were doing at the Stater Brothers, and then they committed kidnapping. You're going to prison. And this is the unintelligent creatures who are engaged in this pattern of conduct together. Rodriguez is going to prison July 13, 2026. Stole my communication devices because they don't want this documented, while you displaced me and put me in Fontana, California. This fool is going to federal prison. All right, this is the entity that's engaging in that, and they're doing so together, stalking on the roads and the highways, sharing and stalking with a police department. That's not an actual police department. They are exposed as stalkers, and that's what I'm taking pictures of while the white van is right in front of the Ontario police vehicle that knows that it's being documented. And I want to be clear, they're being watched by all angles. The number on the top of the vehicle, it is known who was stalking me in this vehicle right now, while the people of the state pull behind the Ontario Police Department, who are a bunch of stalkers. That entire department is being disbanded. While you're engaging in something as pathetic as stalking, something as criminal. It's not just pathetic, it's that which is in furtherance of murder. These numbskulls, these idiots, these unintelligent demons that cannot spell, engaged in kidnapping on July 13th, and they've been engaged in the conspiracy to murder me, meaning it's the Ontario Police Department, the gang stalking law enforcement agencies, which is an oxymoron. They're under the guise of being a law enforcement agency, they're engaged in criminal surveillance with the military that's stalking me in 18-minute long videos of stalking. The police are stalking them. This is what I'm saying. It prosecutes everyone. But like I said, while you're listening to this plane activity, this is the entity that engaged in conspiring my murder, and it's been the gang stalking police department's role to set me up for what is being accused of the criminal activity that this military and the people of the state sharing, which is including what is having sex with kids, trafficking them. Somehow I was running that whole system. I'm responsible for the loss of life of children that these demons have targeted, and the Ontario Police Department, who have been engaged in what is an ongoing defamation campaign. And how do you do that as a gang stalking police department, a corrupt police department, which is already established? By committing kidnapping like what Rodriguez did on Monday, July 13th, 2026. That's how you do that. Even if it's a kidnapping that has nothing to do with the underlying criminal act that the entity seeks to frame me with, this is how the gang stalking entity engages in that, which is why Mike Lorenz and what is Mr. Lopez, who is the current terrorist leader, while the entity is stalking me in Ontario, California with for 18 minutes on video, that's a prosecution of the so-called police chief. He's being prosecuted as a terrorist leader. But the entities engaging in this while they are pacing together on the roads and the highways, while they are stalking me, engaging in kidnapping, while they are targeting in this same manner where they commit these kidnappings as a corrupt police department that are nothing other than stalkers. And it's their job to target with the people of the state, just like they are now while they're physically gang stalking. They are using their positions to engage in framing me in concert with the people of the state to have me framed for criminal activity that they have committed. And this is what Tracy Banks, this is what Jason Isaac Fields, this is what the U.S. military, this is what the people of the state have conspired. And this is also evidence that you will find the details about as you witness the entity that is engaged in criminal activity, which is all providing further context regarding this P.O.C., the evidence of criminal surveillance, gang stalking that this government has been targeting me with for years. The context, because the Ontario Police Department, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, shutting down all three of what I just said. The Ontario Police Department is being removed. San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, it's not remaining, it's being removed. The Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, presiding judge, Lisa Rogan, she committed the first kidnapping in 2020. She's going to prison and that court is not legitimate. Being removed by virtue of what they did to me, which is showing you what they've been doing to other people for centuries. And I'm the only one that's able to speak to it. The entity is engaging in what is framing me by seeking to establish, by virtue of your gang stalking me, and that's supposed to support what they intended to do, which is provide what is manufactured, engineered information, facts, while you're gang stalking with the people of the state, as I show you. And you're engaging in the entity's criminal act of, as a police department that's not going to be questioned, regarding what is evidence against Erica Lorraine Spencer, who that police department has been gang stalking. And they do so while this pattern of conduct is underway, framing for the crime of murder, which I have not committed. The Ontario Police are engaged in seeking to frame me for murder. The Ontario Police are engaged in the criminal act of seeking to frame me for sexual acts against children. And this is what this entity is guilty of. The entity, the cult members that are literally flying these planes, stalking me right now. These are crimes that they've committed, and the role of the Ontario Police, who are stalking, who committed kidnapping as late as July 13, 2026, who stole my communication devices because they didn't want the video evidence of them kidnapping me put on the internet. Which all you're doing is adding charges. Rodriguez is he's not getting out of prison. Neither is Hadel Shiapani, who committed kidnapping in 2016. And she's still stalking me. She's not getting out of prison. She's not getting out of prison. I just want to be clear. She's going in and she's not getting out. And that's literally, I want to be clear. You're talking about, for example, when you understand the crime of mail fraud, you could typically get like 5 to 10 years for criminal acts, which are pretty well known. What's the purpose of the P.O.C. is also to establish policy. And it shall be known, if you're engaging in domestic terrorism of this nature as a so-called police officer, as a so-called courthouse, as a so-called sheriff's department, as a corrupt business, there are default duration of time regarding how much time in prison you shall serve. And it's going to be as well known, mail fraud. You engage in what is mail fraud, stealing somebody's mail, that's like an automatic 5 to 10 years. You're talking about going to prison. This is what is the purpose of the P.O.C., because this is beyond conviction. I've already proven the case against the government that has nothing that it can say about me other than the fact that they're stalking me. Because that's what they've been doing. They've been stalking me while they thought they were going to be able to frame me for their criminal acts. So the P.O.C. is also doing a service, because everything that this entity, the Ontario Police Department, has sought to frame me for, it's literally the evidence, their admission regarding what they did. That's why they were framing me for it, because they're guilty of it. And this is the service that the P.O.C. also provides, showing that the entity is not only stalking and gang stalking, they're doing so in order to frame me for criminal activity that it has committed. They didn't just try to come up with crimes to try to pin me for stuff that didn't happen. Oh no, they're trying to frame me for criminal activity that they are responsible for, that they engage in across the globe in other countries, with other countries in the United States, which is also why this is not merely domestic terrorism. This is treason, pursuant to surveillance. While the Ontario Police are on the roads and the highways stalking. While the people of the state are stalking at the C Street turn circle. This truck has been sitting here for over 3 minutes in the middle of the turn circle. There is no traffic that is precluding them from proceeding. They are stalking in the path with light. That's Wells Fargo, Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments. That's the City of Ontario. That's the entity that is targeting, where they're flying for 18 minutes on video, plane after plane after plane. And that is also the Ontario Police Department. All I did was give you an example of you're looking at them engaging it. While you see them doing so, this is what they're always doing. It is surveillance. It is the P.O.C. All right. And this is a demon that's engaged in that pattern of conduct, as I'm documenting. And I'm referring to facts that you already know that are on the record. The people of the state that are engaging in stalking, doing so while they are engaging in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder, surrounding It's coming along down what is limit as I'm crossing path. This is license 7005 3 Edward 4. Surveillance. And you will see the entity flying over by plane while these demons are engaged in stalking on the roads and the highways, and that's exactly what the Ontario Police Department are doing, stalking on C Street and Euclid. Okay, that's the P.O.C. Downtown Ontario luxury apartments, the John Stewart Company, while the people of the state are gang stalking with peculiarized light. While the elderly are loading up on a vehicle, they're gang stalking. So let me show you this, because this is the same apartment complex where they're at 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, gang stalking with the elderly that are going to need government assistance to pay their rent. And guess where the elderly are going? They're going outside. They're going outside. This is the pattern of conduct. Okay, and this is called stalking with light, while the demon in the white GMC truck, you'll see the license plate I just read, 7005 3 Edward 4, is engaging in stalking monitoring. License 77674 Jerry 3, which is the John Stewart Company that's engaging in what is light activity, while the military is maintaining plane activity, while the military is maintaining helicopter activity, while the entity is stalking in the path, Securitas is maintaining light activity, the white GMC truck is maintaining light activity, the entity Ontario Police, light activity on the roads and the highways. The entity is maintaining what is monitoring, which is why I'm showing you the entity surrounding the venue where I'm at, which is also where the entity that keeps a fake sign over me, this is the people of the state who are engaging in monitoring. This is the entity that's going to be subject to martial law. This is the entity that's monitoring vagina in bathroom stalls. This is the entity that is non-human, seeking and failing at what is framing me for criminal activity that they have committed. License EP 10307, that is West Coast Sand and Gravel Incorporated, they're gang stalking. License Edward Paul 10307, and the other truck is at the opposite end, stalking with light activity. This is psychopathic pacing. License 77674 Jerry 3, picking up the elderly, gang stalking on the roads and the highways. Detailed audible evidence of this pattern of conduct, the adult day health care at the Alvarado Gardens Apartments in Los Angeles, while LAPD is gang stalking me under the fake sun, where you are looking at them routinely picking up the elderly, gang stalking me in doing so. This is what the entity is doing at the John Stewart apartment complex, where the elderly are malicious demons engaging in the pattern of conduct, literally using their elderly age. And their elderly age is a means of what is the inability to actually endure the excruciating and extreme conditions of living outside, because that's where the elderly are going. They're not getting any government assistance. They're terrorists, and they're engaging in the pattern of conduct maliciously with the U.S. government, with the people of the state. Stalking in the path. This is the apartment complex John Stewart Company. Like I stated, your employees and your residents are gang stalking, and you're also profiting while you're engaging in the pattern of conduct, and you are engaging in the pattern of conduct while that corporate entity, John Stewart Company, the legal fiction, the corporation itself, is a means of surveillance by the government that's flying over that apartment complex, flying in circles over that apartment complex, maintaining a fake sun at that apartment complex, facilitating light activity at and by that apartment complex while the pattern of conduct is underway in furtherance of murdering any American citizen. John Stewart Company is being federally prosecuted. Hope that you understand that, but your understanding that is not under any circumstances precluding your federal prosecution, which you are witnessing, and you shall compensate. You're being civilly and criminally prosecuted. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:02 a.m. This is all relevant to surveillance of my devices. Securitas is being aided with stalking with light activity. As I just went to the front and showed you all those demons that are monitoring in the path, including the Ontario Police Department, whose role is to frame an American citizen with criminal activity that they have not committed, which is also why they're being disbanded, because that's not a law enforcement agency. And this is what the Ontario Police Department have, in fact, committed. And that's already evidence. It's already existing evidence. It's details that you will learn about. But this is also why you are being disbanded. They are a threat to the public while they are gang stalking. As I'm showing you proof that a police department is gang stalking, in other words, as I'm showing you proof that law enforcement agencies throughout the state of California are gang stalking, and I mean all of them, this is evidence letting you know that they do things such as what the Ontario Police Department are going to be removed from existence for. They're gang stalking. They're framing American citizens for criminal activity that they did not commit. They're gang stalking. They're keeping American citizens under surveillance, violating their privacy, stalking them, and then being capable of wearing guns and badges and engaging in behaving as though they have authority under the law, authority that they do not have. That's what's a threat to the public while you have what is the gang stalking system underway. And this is prosecuting the system of surveillance that is underway through law enforcement agencies in the state of California. And that's what they're doing. That's the purpose of maintaining surveillance with corrupt police departments who frame American citizens, innocent American citizens, for crimes that they did not commit, who kidnap them, who murder them, because that's what's happening. It's a murder when you're engaged in criminal surveillance, which is what they are all engaging in. Above and beyond that, the Ontario police are gang stalking an American citizen with the intent to conspire murder and to frame for criminal activity that the Ontario Police Department know that I have not committed. They have committed it. This is informing all of the above. The entities engaging in this while they are stalking in the path with light activity, which is what I just documented. The entity that's maintaining criminal presence in the path, the white GMC truck at the turn circle, the white van picking up the elderly who are pacing. They're in line inside of the apartment complex where the entity is flying for 18 minutes with commercial planes and government planes, 5 o'clock in the morning, where the elderly are not complaining about their violation of quiet enjoyment. The helicopter activity, they're not complaining about that because they're directly engaged in it. And I want to be clear, even were there some third party to claim, it's the helicopter activity is so loud. Remember, they're not doing that. They all act stoic, like nothing is happening. And they're going to maintain, please continue to act like that because I'm going to prosecute you with it. I'm going to prosecute you. It's totally unnatural, but the case doesn't rely upon that. There is no way that you're going to behave that's going to rebut or contend with the evidence of you gang stalking. I just show you how they're not even humans and they're bad actors while they're sitting around acting like it's not happening. Okay, this is the entity that engages in that, and everything about their pattern of conduct is showing that they are mentally ill and they are unfit, and they are also in violation of the law. You're not receiving any HUD housing benefits. You're not getting any Section 8. You're not getting assistance with your rent. You're not getting any food stamps. You're not getting any child support from the government regarding children that you need to feed. That's not the government's interest. It's not the government's problem. It's not the government's responsibility. You don't have a constitutional right, especially as a domestic terrorist, which is what the state of California is established as. And this is, I want to be clear also, saving millions, if not billions of dollars of resources based on the terrorists in the state of California, as does deportation of every immigrant in the state of California. And that's justice, because they are all engaging in the pattern of conduct. Every politician, every celebrity, there is no exception. The entity is engaged in this P.O.C. and it is ceaselessly underway while I'm showing you what they're doing in Ontario, California, which you also know they're doing in Upland, California, as I travel to another city, and I'm not protected at all. I'm targeted ceaselessly. This is the P.O.C. It is 7:06 a.m. All right, this is P.O.C. C-Max is light activity. And the entity is engaged in stalking, hovering over with, this sounds of a jet, which is the military as well. The jet's like what you saw at the Upland Public Library, as a matter of fact, while the entity had the fake sun over me in the city of Upland. This is where the entity is engaging in stalking by aircrafts as an entity that has committed itself. It's determined that it has decided to go down in infamy regarding being prosecuted as mutants. These are creatures that have been exposed as engaging in criminal surveillance while trying to masquerade as human beings. Nonetheless, these mutants are going to be given their constitutional right, their day in court, where they are without any defense, and they're going to be prosecuted and subject to what is confinement in prisons that are going to be constructed to confine them, and in mental institutions designed to restrict them from being able to violate the privacy rights and the human rights of American citizens that they're gang stalking. They're pacing together, coming from the entrance. This is the one that's been engaged in surveillance at the bench. This is an entity that's gang stalking with Sean Thrasher as well. Okay, so the entity that's engaged in that, I want to be clear, Sean Thrasher is gang stalking, and he's going to prison while the entities such as Adam Tuckerman and the Upland Public Library, while the Fontana Lewis Library, as I'm showing you the P.O.C., the history of the evidence, the Chino Branch Library, and Sean Thrasher is engaged in the P.O.C. as you're looking at the fact that I'm subject to surveillance, and this is the entity that's doing so under the fake sun that rises and sets here, with the military stalking me by helicopter, and Ovid Family Community Library engaged in that P.O.C. with the gang stalking patrons, all of them demons engaged in the surveillance, doing so while they are in the environment, exhibiting the severe mental instability that Sean Thrasher shares in. Has the same condition and is doing so as one that is operating the surveillance system of the Ovid Family Community Library. He is gang stalking. He's stalking outside, tracking my steps with the military, walking from the parking garage this way, stalking with light activity with Securitas, monitoring me as I'm coming from the bathroom where he's monitoring my vagina just like he was inside of the Ovid Family Community Library, committing kidnapping with the gang stalkers of the Ontario Police Department, criminally defaming my character and doing so in furtherance of murdering me. And he is to date stalking and doing so, arriving at the venue at 9:08 a.m., which is what the cameras will show, which is what his schedule will show, where he's engaged in the P.O.C. and he's going to prison, including while he's engaged in what is unlawfully threatening my life and obstructing justice by falsely depicting my character, and also engaging in obstruction of justice by kicking me out from this venue where I'm documenting the pattern of conduct, and they literally made up information in order to do so. In other words, he's not just a stalker, he's a demon and he's a liar. Okay, and he's going to prison while you're seeing Adam Tuckerman engage in the same exact pattern of conduct. Adam Tuckerman is his co-defendant that is incriminating him every day while they're gang stalking in Upland, California. He's going to prison. He's going to prison while this entire crime scene follows me to Upland, California, which is where you are aware of everybody, including Sean Thrasher, who is going to federal prison, where he won't be able to sit around pacing around and monitoring my vagina while he is gang stalking with the military in the city of Ontario. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaged in that. It's 9:11 a.m. under the fake sun, which you know on Sunday was here at this same venue as I took a picture of it, standing at this same Ovid Family Community Library, where the gang stalker is systematically facilitating the criminal conspiracy to murder me and defame my character, Sean Thrasher. Okay, this is the P.O.C. He is engaging in that with the city of Ontario that is engaged in the pattern of conduct, and that's why the military is stalking me here and using commercial planes and jets and helicopters to do so. Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It's 9:12 a.m. And here is the ridiculous level, the exceptionally probative evidence of stalking, not on the path with the sidewalk, where there are no planes going to a destination, flying to be over the sidewalk on Euclid Avenue, doing so while the entity is keeping the fix in. This is the absurdity of the pattern of conduct. Not only are they demons, the people of the state are demons, stalking with impossible light activity. These are creatures that have invaded, and it's not a movie, okay? It's not fiction. This is I documented their license plates. They're stalking at Chevron. This is Chevron stalking. A creature obsessed with me. 8 George, Queen Wendy, 716. Under the fake sun, all the minions pace by me, stalking with light. That's prosecuting the establishment itself. This is how establishments are stalking. You are being prosecuted while the military, these homosexuals with inflamed genitalia who are absurdly psychotic, sharing in the psychopaths that are stalking on the roads and the highways, 9 Jerry, Queen Xavier, 766, who are so obsessed with me, they're touching with light that's flying through the air. They're demons, and they're demons stalking in planes. Under the fake sun that you know is here after 6 p.m., where Starbucks is stalking, engaging in kidnapping. That's why. That's the threat of the mentally ill, the demon-possessed that are criminally monitoring. And these creatures, they're not even humans, have the audacity to try to then criminally defame you and have you locked up and steal your identity, your property. This is how they engage in stealing ideas to form companies, corporations, to create what are supposedly solutions to the environment, to the world we're in. They're stealing from the anointed. They're stealing from the gifted. They're stealing from the advanced, and they're demons. They're engaging in copyright infringement. And then they're writing songs and lyrics, all right, claiming that it's their intellectual property. It's not. It's a system of monitoring where they're engaging in that, surveilling everyone, creating Walt Disney movies about the people of the state that are monitoring the true focus of that movie, and that target individual is not being compensated. Okay, this is the entity that's gang stalking. The entity literally is following me to Euclid Avenue, and they're following me to Upland, California. Okay, this is the P.O.C. When I'm getting out of church under the fake sun at Bethel Congregation right here after 12 p.m., where you're engaging in that pattern of conduct, you are stalking, and you're a demon doing so. And you serve to prosecute everybody else. Balbier's inside of Chevron. Some Caucasian demon-possessed gang stalkers, okay, that are engaging in the P.O.C. This is white people stalking me. Obsessed. They're creatures. They're roaches. They're monitoring. That's the pattern of conduct. That's the reality. It's not based on the carnal. Satan and the entity does not have a race. They're not private citizens. They're third parties and state actors. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:29 a.m. This is demonic activity. Okay? This is the P.O.C. It is currently 9:29 a.m. Okay, as you will see, the evidence follows, which is an entity, a demonic one, and that is the public entity, the stalker, that's engaging in the pattern of conduct all the way up to the Upland Public Library, where Kiki is a demon. She's the one you'll see in the floor-length green sweater. She's pacing in and out of the reference desk area where the fake son is present, where I'm documenting her co-defendants, Adam Tuckerman, after 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She's monitoring, she's stalking. And the entity is maintaining that pattern of conduct while the fake son follows the Upland Public Library. So it is currently 10:36 a.m. You'll see the fake son over the library, where the entity has the fake son over me, where demons like Landivar of the Upland Police Department are gang stalking, where I'm not even in the city of Upland. I'm remaining in Ontario, and the fake son's over me in a whole other city, which is why you are being diagnosed while you're wearing a police uniform and keeping your back to me and holding a conversation with your co-defendant that's stalking me, i.e. the people of the state. This is Landivar that's surrounded with that evidence. While I'm in Upland, California, the fake son follows, which is speaking to surveillance that Kiki, an employee, is stalking a patron and furtherance of murder. This is where the entity is engaging in criminal summoning. She's going to prison. While the people of the state are engaging in that P.O.C. together, just want to be clear, this is the pattern of conduct. While you hear those sirens stop, that's while I'm changing function on my device. All right, this is the entity engaged in federal stalking in concert with the patrons. They're all demons.
3, please?
I'm actually in line.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were tucked away on your phone book.
I am. I'm in line.
Don't worry, I was going to.
Oh, you can help him use his line first?
No.
Oh, hi. Can I get a laptop, please?
Yeah. You have your library card?
Yes, I do, ma'am. Can you get that for you?
I thought you were trying to get a quiet place.
How you doing, Miss Kiki?
Good, how are you?
I'm fine. Let me get my card for you. Here you go. Oh, sorry.
You said a laptop?
A laptop, yes.
Here you go.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get a paper towel, please, so I can wipe it off if you have any? Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, you can get out your way. That's criminal summoning, 10:38 a.m. I'm going to show you the fake son that's over me while the demons are gang stalking via the reference desk. This is the people of the state that come to the Upland Public Library, which is the city of Upland, that is gang stalking me, just like you are witnessing the city of Ontario gang stalking. That is the evidence of surveillance by the mentally ill that are going to be removed from any sort of ability to access a helicopter, a fire truck, a police vehicle, an ambulance, which they use to engage in monitoring surveillance, with a whole bunch of roaches that are legally referred to as the people of the state, stalking in absurdly psychopathic and obsessive manners. This is the P.O.C. It is 10:38 a.m., 10:39 a.m. I'm going to show you the environment where the entity is engaging in what is psychological torture, the sex offense of the entity, under the phenomenon which is the fake son, the evidence of their knowledge, and the absence of any coincidence or accidents, while their obsession is shown through their impunity. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. Let me show you the fake son right here. Alright, the fake son is captured right now as 10:39 a.m. This is the environment where the entity is engaged in summoning. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct with the mentally ill of American Medical Response, Upland Police Department, San Bernardino County Fire, in the middle of the afternoon, while I'm staying in Ontario, California, while I'm walking down the same Euclid Avenue in the evening, which is what American Medical Response is doing after 7 p.m. This is the entity that is targeting me inside of the library. A third party is engaged in what is monitoring by coming to the reference desk and requesting a study room. And I am also correcting him while he's trying to cut in line while you're gang stalking me. These are the demons that don't have any manners. They're engaged, but he's forgetting and getting out of order while he's gang stalking me. You're not going to cut in line in front of me while you're stalking. This is the entity that's doing that, though, but you're listening to the audible activity, the evidence of stalking. Literally, the fact that you hear their voice is the criminal act. Okay? The government doesn't have any warrant or probable cause to maintain any method of presence. Method of presence is accomplished by what is public corruption. Working at the crime scene. Traveling. Remaining occupying. Present at the crime scene. Crossing path at the crime scene. Maintaining all manner of activity. While that government is also providing evidence against itself, like the blatant stalking by helicopters, which Kiki is also present at this video, engaging in that very malicious, that diabolical, cold and cruel and psychologically harmful pattern of conduct, okay? What she does with the demons that are lining up to stalk me in the path, surround me, in other words, threaten me, my safety, psychologically threaten me as well, while they all surround me. Remember, under the guise of being in a library checking something out, they're surrounding me. They're making sure that I am surrounded. And they're mentally ill while they engage them. Just like you saw in an 18-minute video, and those demons stalking with planes engaged in psychopathic pacing. All these psychopaths are surrounding me by getting in line under the fake sun in the engineer light in an absurd environment, while the demons surround with amplified sirens, and they're engaging in that. And they do that also in the bathroom. Okay, worshiping my vagina. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:42 a.m. in this specific environment. This is the pattern of conduct, for which Sean Thrasher is going to federal prison. Now, he's mentally ill, and his mental illness is working for me and against him because he's an unintelligent demon who is nonetheless a director over a public library whose criminal system is literally prosecuted and confirmed at another facilitating venue where there is no amount of criminal defamation, there is no amount of criminal activity, there is no amount of ongoing harassment that's going to rebut the evidence that you are stalking. In fact, as you engage in those acts of harassment and obstruction of justice, it is underscoring the fact that you are gang stalking. And Sean Thrasher, who is stalking and engaging in what is repeated acts of terrorism and obstruction of justice, is going to federal prison. Just like I stated while I document the pattern of conduct enough in California. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 10:42 a.m. while the crime scene, that is the entity, that is demons, the stalker, follows me to Upland, California. This is P.O.C. All right, what you will see is the mentally ill demons. Remember, their mental illness regarding the way in which demons are monitoring by pacing and engineer light, while they're focusing on their communication devices, and they do this as corporate actors like OPARC, like the Upland Public Library, like Anthesis, who are gang stalkers at these public libraries, as I've shown you, engaging in what is violating the Welfare and Institutions Code, while their clients who are developmentally challenged are engaging in federal stalking and furtherance of murder and theft of intellectual property with the employees of these libraries who are all going to prison. The entities engaging in what is pacing all around, and you'll see the fake sun over my head while a bunch of stalkers are in the library, communication devices out, pacing all around, stalking, okay? This is an entity that is threatening your life and safety and psychologically torturing and threatening you while they engage in this. This is simultaneous to a prosecution for gang stalking in the first place. Gang stalking is a program of psychological torture which corporate entities are engaging in. While they are together, I want to be clear, this entity that's gang stalking is the entity that is engaging in what is gang stalking through the people of the state, through the military that's stalking in the sky space, through the entity that's maintaining surveillance on the roads and the highways. The use of their communication devices is also relevant to what is theft of my intellectual property. So what you will learn about is this entity that is gang stalking me also thought that they were even smart enough to even lie about being responsible for creating all of my evidence, which is the P.O.C. They can't even speak or define the words that I use to explain this criminal activity that they are engaging in. Okay, and I want to be clear, these are demons, and they do not know the reason and the rationale for what they do as they do it. I'm explaining to them, while that many of them are learning that they're demon possessed. They know that they're stalking me. They know that who I am. Many of them are ignorant about how lost they are, though. These are demons, and they're monitoring spirits that possess them. And they're also hostile while they hear the truth about themselves. But nonetheless, they are incapable, and they are not responsible for the P.O.C. This is clear. It's shown who the target individual is. But this is relevant to the entity. That includes Tracy Banks, Jason Isaac Fields. That includes this entity that is, again, in Europe and other parts of the world that have stolen. How do they have access to my videos that I'm publishing while the military is stalking me at the Upland Public Library? And I'm capturing the fake sun and this evidence of the environment that they are claiming to be responsible for. The demons that are pacing around in these city libraries monitoring me with their communication devices, this is how they're engaging in what is federal stalking online. And this is how they've engaged in what is stealing my intellectual property. This is how you have demons that make up a corporation such as Walt Disney creating what are movies about your everyday life when nobody from Walt Disney, no person that's a biographer has interviewed you, has asked you about your life, has engaged in requesting any consent for them to make a movie, make any documentary about your experiences, about what you're subject to. This is how they do that, through monitoring, which is surveillance. And it's a government system, and that's what the corporate entities are engaged in, and that's also relevant. The entity that's engaging in the pattern of conduct is very much engaged in monitoring on my device, and they have committed the ultimate with regard to terrorism as the means of copyright infringement. And the entity is engaged in this while they are doing so as I am documenting it. So be mindful of this as well. This is relevant to the demons, the puppets, the living dead, these zombies that are always studying their devices. They're engaged in federal stalking, an unlawful search on my device, theft of my evidence, and that's inclusive of that which I'm publishing on the internet. This is also why you've seen the entity stalking me by helicopter at the same time that I'm publishing evidence on the internet. The entity does that not only to psychologically torture me, but also relevant to monitoring and searching my device while a whole bunch of zombies all around, they're all stealing information at the same time. It's relevant to criminal surveillance. This is teaching you about demonic activity. The engineer light affects your communication devices. All right. The audible activity in that engineer light is affecting your communication devices. You are under surveillance while you use your phone at any place at all times. All right. This is the entity engaging in that. And the gang stalkers themselves have committed what is copyright infringement in concert with the government. Remember, the government's the one that is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct. And these puppets are the people of the state that are vicariously acting on behalf of the government. And they do so at facilitating venues like the Ontario Civic Center, like the Upland Public Library, like relatable properties on Euclid Avenue, like the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court, like what I'm documenting on the roads and the highways, and keeping me under surveillance while I've been prosecuting this entity. And this entity has been systematically stealing literally the evidence, but also, even if it wasn't evidence and I was capturing footage for a movie that I'm going to create, the entity was stealing is stealing my intellectual property. And they're also mentally ill. This is evidence relevant to diagnosis, because you're doing that while I'm capturing evidence of you stealing my intellectual property. Where do you think you're going with my evidence? And everybody knows who it belongs to, and the federal government is watching you steal it. Where do you think you're going? In a padded room? You're going in a straitjacket. What do you think you're going to accomplish? And on top of that, it is the unlawful intrusion in a federal case. What you're listening to in the background is audible activity, not vacuuming. This is the entity that's, maintaining audible activity under the fake sun that's over my head at this corner of the library, where the entity also is documented stalking by helicopter at this corner of the library, where the entities maintaining engineer light and demons are pacing around me at this corner of the library in Upland, California. Whereas on Sunday, when I remain in Ontario, at this time, it is 11:02 a.m., where I'm at the Bethel Congregational Church under the fake sun, okay? This is where you're paying attention, because you have a front row seat to all those who are going to prison. They're identified as serial stalkers. They're identified as the employees at these venues while they're engaging in what is an already defeated endeavor, okay? Hiding behind the developmentally challenged is showing you to be a psychopath, and that's a prosecution of that corporate entity. It's like letting loose a bunch of kindergartners to engage in pacing inside of the venue for monitoring. And you're going to prison for monitoring with children. You're going to prison for engaging in facilitation to that degree. You're going to federal prison while you're systematically engaging in that. You're doing it in the face of an American citizen while you're documenting. And you're a whole fool. You are mentally ill. You are a lower being. You are incompetent. You are inferior while you're doing it. And the whole world knows that you're stealing my evidence, that you were engaging in what is criminal activity for which you're being documented documented, and you're stealing my evidence of you engaging in criminal activity, and where the documentation is, and the federal government is watching you steal it, the federal government is watching you engage in criminal activity, and where do you think you're going? What do you think that you're doing? And this is relevant to the entity stalking by planes this morning, and then followed me to Upland, and then is engaged in what is that ongoing ritual on a daily basis, stalking by helicopter, the hallmark of mental illness, the hallmark of criminal surveillance, the hallmark regarding terrorism by the cult members who have been put on the map regarding the infamy of vagina monitors, who will never again be mistaken, who will never again be able to literally try to construct what is the ability to intimidate and use terms that do not apply, such as being some sort of elite group. No, they're pedophiles. They eat feces, they eat people, they stalk obsessively, and they steal and they kill. That's it. They're puppets, and they're fools. And moreover, they're stalking me because they are humiliated. And the only type of people that do that are these non-humans, but they're psychopathic. That's who does that. You're doing it because you're humiliated, and you're going to be committed behind it. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 11:04 a.m. It is 3:09 p.m. and the light source that is above me as I arrived during the 10 a.m. hour, and like I documented earlier, during that time, I've been here well before 10 a.m., like when Landovar of Upland Police is gang stalking with the people of the state who surround me inside of this library, the Upland Public Library, during the 8 a.m. hour. And I've been here even before that. But just to use Landovar, who's going to prison as an example, the entity has the fake sun over me as I arrive, and I capture my presence, and you are listening to the sound of sirens while the people of the state surround stalking. The entity is engaging in what is stalking in this same manner with audible activity. This is a population of stalkers who are mentally ill, over and under majority, stalking with that same audible activity that you heard in the background, pursuant to my physical movement, in the same way that they do with planes and helicopters. This is the mentally ill population that is going to be committed, and they are working for the Upland Police Department, and they are also working for the Upland Public Library. Okay, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they are engaging in this under the fake sun that's still over the same roof where you heard that door closure in the background, and those are demons who are still being cowards because they're not engaging in the loud amplified door slamming that they engage in when they are feeling comfortable, because I'm not looking at them, I'm not standing by them, I'm not focused on them. In fact, I'm publishing evidence on my device, on the device that I checked out from Kiki, who's gang stalking this morning, and while I'm in use of my device while the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct, much like when I'm capturing the entity stalking by helicopter over this corner where I'm seated right now, and the people of the state are stalking me inside of this building. It's just like that, as a matter of fact, while the entity maintains amplified audible activity pursuant to stalkers who are pacing in engineer light under a remaining light source, while the entity maintains audible activity with the public entity that is utilizing criminal summoning, utilizing plane activity, utilizing train activity, that's a prosecution of Metrolink, and utilizing what is ongoing noise by demons who are inside of the venue. Demons are mentally ill, and the fact that you are engaging in the mentally ill behavioral pattern is that which is going to both simultaneously serve to diagnose you and criminally prosecute you for terrorism. The entities engage in this, of course, in the bathroom, which is also inside of this venue where sex offenders are stalking with noise at a harassing level while they are hostile to the evidence that's being published on the internet, where there is no question about their guilt. You are witnessing the terrorism and the threat to national security of the demon-possessed that are being exposed. I want to document that I will capture the light source and the engineer light that remains inside of this venue, and this is the entity that is identified for your viewing pleasure. While the United States should very well celebrate terrorism being exposed and prosecuted for the protection of the American people, and with regard to the human rights advocacy that is underway by this P.O.C. Being exposed and prosecuted in the United States, the terrorists that are engaging in it and shall be subject to prosecution are published as well with regard to this podcast that is advertised on my social media, where this public investigation is also documented and published for the world to witness, and the images of those that are inside of the open public library are capable for you to view. These are the mentally ill who are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and they are doing so while they are aware. That's speaking to a level of psychopathic disorder that is to be addressed, and their awareness is proven through the specific environment. Their awareness is proven through the ongoing amplified audible activity. You cannot hear the Metrolink train inside of the library, and while that ongoing phenomenon is present, and light activity is on the ceiling, for example, which is never going to occur while the sun is above the roof of the building and it remains there for hours. All of these are impossible phenomenons, and that is directly proving intent. The intent of the mentally ill who are being diagnosed by their own mentally ill pattern of conduct. And they're doing so in furtherance of murder, and they do so with minor children who are mentally ill as well. Stalking and monitoring genitalia. This is the entity that's engaging in this. It's 3:13 p.m. at the Upland Public Library. Pay attention to my social media. You can see on Instagram, you can see on my X, you can see on Facebook. And of course, I am publishing also the podcast to the YouTube website, where it is also connected to the RSS feed, and on my website, this is the P.O.C.wordpress.com, where I maintain ongoing I maintain the entirety of the investigation, and all of the evidence that is captured on a ceaseless basis is systematically uploaded to that website. Alrighty, it is currently 3:14 p.m. This is documentation of harassment by the entity that is already proven to be gang stalking me, and that's relevant to damages, it's relevant to charges, and it's relevant to what is confinement, the means of confinement, which shall result in what are involuntary commitments, P.O.C. That's the entity that's engaging in that. So this is what the entity is engaging in. While you heard that, I'm doing that so that you can hear them stalking with audible activity. They're doing so inside of the male restroom, the males that are monitoring genitalia. They're doing so with the Brody room, where teenagers are engaging in gang stalking. They're doing so while the demons are pacing in and out of the employee entrances, and they're doing so with regard to what is the amplified level. So while I'm listening to content that is drowning out all, I can't hear anyone speaking, I can't hear, and I do that on purpose because I'm focusing, the entity is engaging in what is demonic activity. And while the entity engages in demonic activity, it's evidence that is proven with tangible evidence. It's tangible evidence relevant to mental illness. While the entity engages in their psychological torture tactics, it is the evidence to diagnose psychopaths that stalk with noise like what you heard at what they thought was the conclusion of this excerpt of audible activity. Okay? The entity is engaging in that which is relevant to what is the specific environment. So while an inferior creature is replicating the same evidence of stalking under all circumstances, they're doing so while they are monitoring the evidence. The entities engaging in this conduct, while they are amplifying this level of audible activity, they do that while it reverberates inside of the library, and it is not only disconcerting, it is harassment while you are stalking, and you're doing that while you are psychotic, pacing all around me under what is not even a natural environment. It is lit up like a Christmas tree while you are engaging in this behavior, and this is the categorical mental assessment of an entity that is going to be subject to martial law and involuntary confinements, voluntary commitments. And it starts with, like, who you see Kiki that's engaging in Kiki. It's one that will be within what are padded walls for the protection of you who are listening. And this is the entity that is engaging in that pattern of conduct. Stalking with light, stalking with noise, and stalking as an entity is severely mentally deranged behavior, which is committed by a public entity in furtherance of murdering that targeted individual, against whom there is no warrant or probable cause or legitimate basis for a government to levy war against an American citizen, even when that entity is inferior, literally lower beings, creatures that consume humans that they gang stalk. They will be committed, and while you're listening to that audible activity, these are the demons that are possessed by creatures that are going to drive them into mental institutions. And that's why they don't have the self-control to stop providing evidence to the prosecutor. It is currently 3:16 p.m., and this is the actual conclusion of this excerpt. P.O.C. This is the employees who are slamming these doors, monitoring me. Sheena and Alan, Alicia, Carissa. These are the employees that are here gang stalking. And this door closing is not going to cause the reverberating, ongoing, amplified audible activity. These are demons under the fake sun. P.O.C. Ah, thank you.
I know there's somewhere in there.
Okay. So it looks like I should come straight to you guys from now on and ask, because they try to be helpful, but
Yeah,
sometimes.
they probably just ran out. Let me try
Okay.
to open this.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. On.
Oh, yeah.
Let me show you the fake sun that's right over my head. And you'll see the image as I'm approaching at approximately 10:34 a.m. This is impossible light. The staircase is on the floor. 10:34 a.m. The fake sun's over me at the entrance, and it is currently 3:49 p.m. This is P.O.C. I'll take a couple. That'll be fine. Thank you very much, Miss Sheena. This is the P.O.C. This is impossible that the staircase that is upright is appearing flat on the ground. It's also within the shape of the window, which is on the ceiling, and this is the light source that's remaining over me as I move around. The entity is gang stalking me and is doing so in furtherance of murder, and this particular demon engaging racial slurs while gang stalking. Serial stalker from Ovid Family Community Library as well. And the gang stalker that's under the fake sun after 6 p.m. is what I documented her doing. She comes in with minor children, gang stalk community. Obsessed she is. Obsession is also exhibited in the environment where they're all around me obsessing. Sitting right in front of me with minor children. This is the basis of prison. Documenting her every day. P.O.C. Alrighty, the mentally ill who are just accumulating facts to have them locked up in facilities where they will be screaming at the top of their lungs and having withdrawals from consuming human feces and also having withdrawals from not being able to follow me around. The entity is harassing with Metrolink, 3:52 p.m. amplified train activity, and of course the entity that does not have any independent ideas, exercise any independent thought, literally gets its ideas of how to engage in gang stalking me as they monitor the evidence, engages in what is amplified train activity. Not a coincidence where you can never hear the Metrolink train inside of the library, of the Upland Public Library. If you've ridden, which I have ridden Metrolink, you can barely hear the train horn when you're on the train. It's not some exceedingly loud that you can hear throughout the whole city and the whole state's disrupted every time Metrolink. These are demons that are stalking, and they are providing evidence of their own mental illness while they look down, look to the left and right, keep their back to you, stalking under a fake sun that you can also see very clearly, doing so in concert with what they have shown to be their mentally ill minor children who are violent sex offenders, keeping genitalia under surveillance while they are engaging in that. That's Metrolink that's being prosecuted at 3:52 p.m. pursuant to their schedule, where they are speaking to what is targeting upon being documented. And Metrolink is also documented targeting pursuant to the use of the train line by Union Pacific, by gang stalking while they are operating pursuant to their schedule, and as I've documented, outside of their schedule for little old me, gang stalking me under the fake sun, where Metrolink is engaged in state surveillance, which is speaking to the threat that Metrolink poses. While at all the Metrolink train stations, the pattern of conduct is underway. These are the same actors that engage in train collisions and how they murder a mass amount of people. It's the same thing as you were understanding helicopter crashes, plane crashes, the entity that's engaging in what are even collisions aboard bodies of water with ships and boats. This is how this entity commits murder. And Metrolink is just exposing that business as a threat to the public while they're going out of their way to these demons that are gang stalking inside of the library. When you have that which is impossible occurring while I'm looking at you, you are being prosecuted, period. These are, again, mentally incompetent based on mental illness. So this is the entity that's providing evidence against itself. This is the P.O.C. Metrolink is the means of audible activity, and they are engaging in that criminal conduct pursuant to surveillance of my evidence, my documentation. And it's occurring under the fake sun, which is also how you know I'm not making anything up, nor does the ordinary target individual. But this is the evidence proving that the entity is mentally ill while engaging in criminal surveillance monitoring. Okay. This is P.O.C. It's currently 3:55 p.m. Alrighty, this is the entity in Upland, California, gang stalking by helicopter. This is the people of the state doing so. I'm capturing images at 294 Euclid Avenue in the morning. This is the third party that I documented having a yard sale, gang stalking me in concert with the people of the state in the morning. The entity maintaining psychopathic pacing, doing so with the people of the state. This is criminal surveillance and it's federal prison. License plate 9 Xavier Thomas Paul 244. License plate 9 Edward Jerry Henry 869. License 9 Wendy Bob Yolanda 528. Surveillance right here. All right, the people of the state gang stalking and the entity engaging in serial stalking. Remember, the entity stalked me by helicopter while the people of the state at what I believe is 319 Euclid Avenue, gang stalking. They're going to prison. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct. The entity having the fake sun over me this morning while I'm walking down the same street. And this is an entity that's engaging what is stalking me because they're so mentally ill. The homosexuals of the U.S. military that cannot seem to stop themselves from hopping in a helicopter and hopping in planes and stalking me, and they're doing so across cities. Everybody that is in, and I'm documenting in Ontario, California, is gang stalking while I'm subject to the pattern of conduct in Upland. This is P.O.C. You have a minor child? This is prison. He's tattoos all over his face. License plate 9 Frank Sam Nancy 526. This is the military gang stalker with him, and he's doing so with a child in the vehicle as well. That's relevant to custody of children while you're engaging in terrorism. This is the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 6:42 p.m. The entity is keeping the fake sun at the Upland Public Library, where I exit at 7 p.m., where the people of the state are stalking on the roads and the highways. You're going to prison for this. You're going to federal prison for this. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:42 p.m. So I want you to witness, this is the basis of your liability, you corporate actors that are witnessing the entity stalking me on your properties by helicopter and by commercial planes. The entity is doing so in this environment, which is identifying you as engaging in the pattern like Bezos and Amazon Prime, engaging in terrorism with the military, stalking on the roads and the highways and incorporating the business in doing so. And this is at 370 South Euclid Avenue, where the people of the state are residing. And I'm subject to stalking by helicopter. You're going to prison. While I'm at the any facilitating venues such as the tax offices of Robert Normandy, that's federal prison. While I'm documenting your license plate 8 Wendy David Frank 138, you're going to federal prison. This is the entity that's engaged in that, and you are civilly and criminally liable. I'll be prosecuting your brand. That is a legal fiction. The name of your brand, the name of your establishment, that logo, that corporation, and it is a defendant for what is terrorism. And they are also a defendant in what is a civil case, which I am prosecuting on social media because the gang stalking courts are not a legitimate avenue. They're not a feasible avenue. And you are hereby given notice via the internet where surveillance is also underway. This is already established by the P.O.C. The entity that's stalking by helicopter, you are going to prison. It doesn't matter if you live there, if you work there, if you're stalking in an ambulance like the mentally ill practice, you are engaging in that P.O.C. and you will find yourself engaging in what is addressing the government that is causing your liability, and you are not a victim because this is prosecuting you who have been engaging in surveillance in the United States with the U.S. government. Okay? So understand it is a basis of liability and it is very personal while you are representing an entity under a fake sun. And this entity stalking by helicopter. This is Robert Normandy. And this is Vantage Properties, where the fake sun is over me, where this entity's been engaged in surveillance for years. And this is a basis for anybody on this street. You're talking about all of them, federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 6:47 p.m. and that's just this side of the street. You're talking about relevant positioning. All right? This is the entity that's engaging in that, and this is the entity that's doing so while you who are gang stalking with the government are going to prison, and your co-defendant cares not because you're going to prison. You're going to prison. It's as many that I catch in the net. Whoever and anyone that's engaging in that, and that is by virtue of what is the pattern 7HQL072 of gang stalking. That same convenience whereby you're engaging in terrorism is the same malice with which it's going to put you in federal prison. This is the P.O.C. It's currently 6:47 p.m. in Upland, California, where the entity is engaging in this, stalking me at the Ovid Family Community Library, where the people of the state are shown to be targeting in furtherance of murder as a single unified entity, which is a basis of liability. And you are learning about the cases against you on social media, on the internet. This is P.O.C. It is currently 6:48 p.m. This is P.O.C. And I want you to be clear, the entity is intentionally doing it at the same address. Everybody on this street is subject to prison. So let me remind you, this is the same location where they already engaged in this tactic of stalking me, targeting, which lets you know already that everybody in this neighborhood is gang stalking. The entity that's engaged in what is this level of impunity is the entity that's going to federal prison for it. And the entity's doing so while this is literally the evidence at 1352, it's already on video, and the entity's engaging in what is repeating that pattern of conduct, and they are all going to prison for it. This is the P.O.C. This is stalking by helicopter at 6:58 p.m. And this is the ongoing terrorism by the people of the state who are subject to martial law and involuntary commitments, and you will be committed. You'll be going to federal prison while the entity is stalking with the military by helicopter like they're doing in the specific environment. This neighborhood the city is targeting, and they're doing so at addresses where they already know it's on video. You're all subject to a raid and prison. This is P.O.C. 6 Robert Henry Charlie 097, 9 Xavier Yolanda Mary 454, 9 Robert Jerry 517, 5 Nancy Uncle Sam 720, 6 Nancy Robert Wendy 976, 8 Nancy David Robert 307, 7 Charlie Thomas Victor 674, Robert 72556, the people of the state at 117. That's the address here. P.O.C. License plate, this is the out-of-state plate, 298, Bob George, Bob Mary. That is a Tennessee license plate. Stalking, there are no planes coming from the airport over here. In the same way that the entity is targeting by helicopter, they're all subject to prison. 7 Charlie Thomas Victor 674 at 118. All right, that's the house address right here. They're all stalking on this street. This is how the specific environment informs you about surveillance, while the entity is at the same time keeping it over the Ovid Family Community Library. And the entity is going out of its way to stalk, and like it's some sort, oh, we'll engage in that same conduct at the same venue that's already published on the internet. Everybody is going to prison. 124. Fake sun documentation. The entity is engaging in terrorism as an entire city conspiring murder together, for which you're going to prison. And the level of impunity of this neighborhood is relevant to how many years they're getting in prison. License Apple Robert Thomas, Indiana Charlie Henry Kelly. P.O.C. This is why also the entity engages in criminal summoning with the so-called police department in the city. They're going to federal prison for that. You're not calling the police, and you don't have any any right to do so. It's criminal activity, which the people of the state share in. They're going to prison for every documented act of terrorism regarding criminal summoning while you're looking at them gang stalk by helicopter in the neighborhood where the entity is engaging as though this is private property. None of it's private property. None of it. 134, that's the house number, is relevant. License 9 Apple Queen Apple 709. License Henry 20 N Sam 0 Nancy. At 20, that's the house number on the speak to the this is Euclid Avenue, and I'm going to get this street right here. This is, I believe, Hawthorne. 69290 Victor at what is 207. This is Hawthorne. License plate 9 Robert Zebra Larry 553, 133 Hawthorne. And this is merely what I'm getting on video, indicative of where I'm located, the ecological address, the time of day, the documentation of the fake sun over me at the same location, the same neighborhood, the same city even, in the morning where the fake sun is present in the city, engaged in what is stalking me by helicopter, and they're all going to federal prison for it. License 8 David Wendy 043. These are the tactics of the homosexuals in the military, and these are also cult members that reside in the city gang stalking the federal prosecutor. Very imprudent conduct that the rest of the world and the rest of the United States is going to learn from, while the mentally ill who are gang stalking have a disdain abiding by the law. For Larry, Uncle Larry 746, and they are also engaged in un-American criminal activity. This is an ongoing declaration of hatred for this country while they're gang stalking. 9 Thomas Henry 878, and 123 Hawthorne is the street address. They don't have a defense. They're already surrounded by evidence, and every single last one that I'm documenting is indicating what is a household full of defendants going to prison. And this is also not limited to just the ones that I documented. This is speaking to the location. This is the entity that's exposed to what is a raid. And while I'm documenting, and the entity is learning of its criminal charges that it's being prosecuted for, they are engaging in that which is welcoming more of that. This is literally letting the federal government that's going to execute these raids, that they are welcoming that, and more is necessary because they have a defiance toward federal law. That's what this is showing you while they fly over my head at Hawthorne and Euclid Avenue, where the people of the state are harassing me, stalking me, doing so by the airline industry and doing so by helicopter, which is on video right here at 1352 Hawthorne. This is P.O.C. It is currently 7:03 p.m. where the entity is keeping the fake sun at the Upland Public Library. All right, and it's not in Upland. It's an area at Hawthorne and Euclid where I'm present in the morning, and it's reflecting off of the passenger school at the intersection of Hawthorne and Ontario, where all these demons are all stalking together. And this was just this side of the street. It's not limited to that side of the street while you're getting those in the zone of relevant positioning for everybody that's going to prison. Everyone that's within the pool of defendants who are subject to prison. This is the P.O.C. It is Euclid Avenue. I just want to show you this. And this is indeed Hawthorne. This is P.O.C. Stalking by helicopter. License plate. Communication device in hand. 6 Thomas Mary Uncle 748. She is indeed stalking in that level of impunity. This is mental illness. So I'm going to show you the fake son. Disregard, doesn't care. And that's an old white woman that I don't know, and she's monitoring. And she's a sex offender monitoring with the military in furtherance of murdering me. That's why she has her communication device out while she's stalking under the fake sun. Engineer light that's in the middle of the street. None of this is sunlight. I just want to be clear. They want to go to federal prison. That's what this evidence shows you. They want to, and they're going. They want to be committed. They need to be committed, and they're going to. Okay, this is the P.O.C. It is currently 7:05 p.m. This is targeting, levying war. You're levying war as a neighborhood. You're all going to federal prison. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is P.O.C. This is what the entity was doing during the 9 a.m. hour today. Doing the exact, which is not coincidentally in my path along the sidewalk. Moreover, this is letting you know that Perez is engaged in criminal surveillance. There's some gang stalking attorneys. That's an unconstitutional and an unethical paradox, which is to be dealt with by the California State Bar, that will be acknowledging the reality of criminal surveillance. And it's under the fake sun, which is along the same Euclid Avenue where I am at Chevron at 506 North Euclid Avenue during the 9 a.m. hour. And it is currently 7:20 p.m. where the sun is not going to be on the same street. And that is license 9 Thomas Edward Henry 114, who was gang stalking. And this is the same entity that's gang stalking by helicopter. And this is understanding why they're going to prison. The federal government is literally, and this is how prosecution for domestic terrorism is going to be executed. You are subject to federal prison. Everybody along Euclid Avenue, everybody in this neighborhood, subject to being raided at their facilitating venues. And you do not, also, I'm gonna let you know how it's gonna go in court. You don't even have a defense. You can hire the most reputable attorney you want. You don't have an argument. And you're already prosecuted by virtue of this social media. And the world is witnessing what needs to be known, the terrorists in the United States of America. Okay? The entities engage in this while the airline industry is stalking. There are no terminals. And there are no flights to a destination where you are hovering and making a U-turn over Euclid Avenue again. And what do you see while I'm documenting is engaging in stalking multiple planes at various elevations while they're engaging in surveillance, okay? This is not the flights coming from the airport. And there are no flights coming from any terminals that are in Upland, California, that are hovering over the neighborhood, that are headed to a destination. And I'm documenting this throughout the city. This is the entity that's going to be federally prosecuted for terrorism via aerial surveillance, and it is the mentally ill cult members of the U.S. military in concert with the mental people of the state, where you are stalking on the sidewalk, you're stalking where you live, where you work, as you travel, and they are doing so as a means of what is supporting martial law. This is the pattern of conduct. This evidence will be used to prosecute and enforce those that are violating your right to privacy. They are violating what is the ethical duties of attorneys engaging in surveillance, and they are, by virtue of the evidence, unfit to maintain a law office to practice law. They are the reason why American citizens are being kidnapped, are being criminally defamed, and it's not based on what area of law you practice. This is being unfit, period, while the pattern of conduct is and I'm subject to it whether or not I am your client or not. You are gang stalking, and it is a basis to have you disbarred. It is a basis for prosecution. It's 7:22 a.m. This is also, by the way, a corporate entity, and I'll be prosecuting. This is the P.O.C. It is 7:22 p.m.
What was the name of your order? What was the name of your order?
Erica. Well, Miss E.L. That's the one that's there.
Oh.
Okay, this is Pizza Hut. That is molesting with license 9 Zebra Edward Victor 709, completing a purchase, gang stalking me in doing so, 7:44 p.m. Looks like 5S 81200 or substantially similar. I will get that. The Latino male that's stalking with the United States Marine. That's what's on the front of his license plate. This is a Red Ranger truck. He's maintaining surveillance by stalking at the Pizza Hut with his communication device out. And the entity's engaging in what is that molestation with engineered light. It's not their headlights. These are demons engaging in the same psychotic behavior, stalking with light. And this is Pizza Hut that is monitoring. This is the entity that's engaging in that. While I've already documented the pattern of conduct, fake sun, morning, afternoon, and evening. Entity stalked me by helicopter, engaging in what is stalking with the Ontario Police Department. All of the iterations of the pattern of conduct are documented here at Reliable Properties, who is being prosecuted while I'm being gang stalked inside of the Pizza Hut. It is currently 7:45 p.m. Stalking with Southwest Airlines, 8 Xavier Victor Henry, 944. That looks like a short Asian female, black hair, a Seoul blue shirt, P.O.C. And Southwest flies right over Sarah's Regis, and that's the prosecution of Sarah's Regis. And this is what Sarah's Regis is doing in the morning. This is what Sarah's Regis is doing in the middle of the night. This is what Sarah's Regis is doing with the military that's also stalked by helicopter. Sarah's Regis Group is the corporate entity that's being federally prosecuted and is engaging in terrorism with the people of the state who are utilizing the venue of Sarah's Regis for criminal activity, which is the prosecution of Sarah's Regis. License plate 9 Thomas Kelly Jerry 616. This is P.O.C. You'll see this captured in images. While they're engaging in terrorism, utilizing the venue of Sarah's Regis Downtown Ontario Luxury Apartments, which is not a legitimate business, they're engaged in surveillance. This is P.O.C. License plate, molestation, which is a sex offense committed by Sarah's Regis. ETO2Y62, paper plate on a red Tesla. This is a fat Latina female, or at least an olive skin one. And this is the entity that's engaged in this conduct with the military that flew over the apartment complex. And again, Southwest Airlines does not have any flights coming from the Terminal 4, where Southwest Airlines planes are parked at the airport. And they're doing so while Southwest Airlines is also stalking in Pomona. Obviously, they're not coming from Terminal 4 there either. Or the entity's engaged. It's also not over the sidewalk over my head in Montclair either. Southwest Airlines is targeting, and so is Sarah's Regis Group and the people of the state. License 9 Charlie Frank 718. They're all engaging in the sex offense of criminal monitoring together. License 7 Frank Robert Jerry 084, I believe. 7 Jerry Xavier Thomas 022. 9 Victor Paul David 654. And this is the documentation of an entire apartment complex that is stalking. This is the Ontario Civic Center, where the entity had the fake sun over me this morning. And then that entire crime scene, which is a phenomenon, it's supernatural, followed the Upland Public Library, where the entity is maintaining that environment. The Securitas employee, the African-American female that changes her weave pieces, she's going to prison. License 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 933. She's gang stalking at Ovid Family Community Library with Southwest Airlines, with the people of the state stalking with light. And that is the same terrorist that's gang stalking with the military stalking me by helicopter, Securitas, and that's this employee who's engaged in this at the Ovid Family Community Library, which you see while I'm on Euclid Avenue in Upland, and that's why she's going to prison. Again, her license plate is 9 Edward Zebra Kelly 933, and she's monitoring with 6 Wendy Henry Bob 899, while the entity's maintaining what is the pattern of conduct at Ovid Family Community Library, where I return. The demon possessor is stalking with an airline industry, while they're engaging what is using the venue of the library itself to engage in surveillance. And this is also what they do while they're monitoring my vagina, which is also why all of the employees are going to prison. This is P.O.C. with minor children, which is what this third party is doing. Again, license 6 Wendy Henry Bob 899. This is P.O.C. It is 8:07 p.m. where Ovid Family Community Library is gang stalking right now. This is the P.O.C. All right, this is comprehensive evidence regarding targeting by the entity that is doing so at every business, at every household, the entire state. As I'm showing you, the military stalking with the people of the state that are maintaining businesses that are on the roads and the highways, and where there are no terminals, where you are hovering now over the Ovid Family Community Library, where ostensibly the same airport, maintaining the same stationary presence of terminals, but you have the entity that is stalking me along Euclid Avenue at Hawthorne, where the entity is targeting with helicopter activity. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. This is Leo that's stalking with light. He is going to be committed. He's stalking with light while the entity is stalking by plane, and doing so under the fake moon. Leo's doing so while he's also watching the fact that he's being prosecuted on the internet, and he's not looking for anything. There's nothing back here. He's stalking in the path with the entity that's stalking with the military. This is what the Ontario Police Department do. He is going to prison. This is P.O.C. This is Securitas also. That's engaged in a sex. You're looking at demon possession. Okay? This is the entity that's engaged in that P.O.C. while you're stalking with light. This is what they're doing while you're looking at the engineer light. This is a demon engaging in surveillance. You're not looking for anything. He's stalking, and he's engaging in stalking with impunity. This is the entity that's going to be committed. I want you to pay attention because this is Securitas that's stalking under the fake sun in the morning, the African-American female, the one, Dylan, that's at the Ovid Family Community Library, the Demons gang stalking at Ovid Family, Ontario Town Square. They're all going to prison. This is P.O.C. This demon is stalking and monitoring with the military that's flying over here and is not changing the subject. The same terminals, the same airport, and these airline companies are stalking me on Euclid Avenue at Perez Law, where the entity is maintaining at Granada and Euclid Avenue, at Hawthorne and Euclid Avenue, in the city of Upland, California, at 9th Street and Euclid Avenue under a fake sun. And this is where the fake moon is present, where Securitas is stalking under the fake sun that's rising and setting here. And the Securitas employees are demons, and they're all going to be federally prosecuted, and this is relevant to what is being committed. This is that pattern of conduct where you will be prosecuted as a gang stalking business, as I have shown you through a body of evidence where you are learning and receiving notice of the fact that you are being criminally prosecuted as a corporate entity. You are being federally prosecuted as the people of the state, while your employees, just like Leo, are gang stalking. I'm federally prosecuting you, and I'm prosecuting your employees who are the people of the state, aiding in the conspiracy to commit murder, as you see this mentally ill defendant, Leo, demonstrating. You're doing so while they are residing at any facilitating venue, as I'm showing you on Euclid Avenue, where there are no planes taking off from the airport. And even at the Ontario International Airport, I will prosecute you because the entity is stalking with a specific environment, where it is a judicially noticed fact that the sun and the moon are not remaining over one person. The sun is not remaining for the duration of the day, even as I travel to different cities, and even as I remain at one venue from the beginning until the end of the day. And at nightfall, that's where the moon is. This is the crime scene where the mentally ill, their entire universe centers around me and my vagina. That's a sex offender stalking with light, and he's going to be committed, as all of an entity will be committed, based on the mentally ill pattern behavior of what is stalking with light. And that's what you just saw Securitas, the corporate entity, and that's what you saw Leo, the criminal defendant who is being federally prosecuted for stalking me and harassing with impunity. Moreover, while he's watching himself being prosecuted, meaning he watched the video being published online and he decided to do it again with the military that are stalking in airplanes and in helicopters. This is P.O.C. This is exactly how you are being prosecuted. You do not have a defense under the law. Just want to let you know that. And you are witnessing, and you are both receiving notice while the entity is engaging in surveillance on the venue of the internet, where the entity has engaged in seeking to utilize in a criminal manner the courts that are not a means of seeking redress of grievances. And this is also where you are being prosecuted, the case against you, and the fact of you being identified as a defendant, and the fact that you are liable. This is the P.O.C. It is currently 8